It's 8 o'clock. This is the UK Tonight. Coming up, a heartbreaking story of birth trauma and baby loss. As Sky News seeks to build a picture of maternity care in the UK, Kelsey Parker tells me about her experience of the health service when her son Phoenix was stillborn.
I carried him for 9 months. He was my baby. I felt him. I knew him. There was something magical with that, and it was everything. I can't even go into it. I will literally, it is so painful for me.
Also tonight, Storm Chandra claims its first victim, a lorry driver killed after crashing into a river in the New Forest yesterday. We'll get the latest picture from both sides of the Irish Sea. Plus, is AI going to take your job? We'll be discussing what the digital future might hold as the government steps up efforts to prepare the country's workforce. And I'll be speaking to 2 teenage mountaineers who swung into action when they found a group of ill-prepared walkers on one of England's highest peaks. All that to come, and much more on the UK Tonight. A really difficult start to tonight's programme. The last time I spoke to Kelsey Parker was in this very studio back in April last year. And Kelsey was looking forward to the arrival of her baby son, a real ray of hope for her and her family after the death of her husband, the wanted singer Tom Parker. But 6 weeks after we spoke, Kelsey's son Phoenix was stillborn at home. That experience alone is almost beyond comprehension. But Kelsey was then placed on a maternity ward with new mums and their healthy babies. I met her again this week to hear her story and add her voice to the hundreds, even thousands of women who are speaking up to try to end the UK maternity scandal. And I have to warn you that you will find some of Kelsey's account distressing. Well, Kelsey, it's really good to see you. And thinking about doing this interview today, I was very aware about the last time we spoke and met, and you were in a very different situation. You were preparing for the arrival of your new baby with your new partner. And I remember as you left the studio that night, saying good luck to you. And then you lost little Phoenix in the most unexpected way. Can you talk to me about what happened at 39 weeks?
Do you know what? I think this is the whole thing. Everyone wished me good luck. And I think people wanted me to have the happy ending. And obviously, that hasn't worked out in a way of now. So I lost Phoenix at 39 weeks, and it was obviously just the worst thing I've ever... Well, the thing is, it's so hard for me because obviously losing Tom was the worst thing. It's like a double whammy of pain.
You had no idea that anything was wrong. You went into labour naturally at home. And Phoenix was stillborn. Can you just talk to me about the impact that has on you? Because, as you said, you know loss, you know grief. But what was that like?
When you go through something like that, how you think you're going to react is not how you're going to react.
Well, you don't think it's going to happen, do you?
You never think that's going to happen to you. For me, I can put myself into that position and go, I'm strong, I can get on with this. And I had to for the whole family, for the children. I felt that after I had Phoenix, people were so devastated for me that they can't even know what happened to me.
You gave birth to Phoenix at home, and then, against your wishes, you were taken to a maternity ward where there are new mums with new, healthy babies. And again, that is adding to the trauma of your experience, and they're not listening to you, they're not understanding what you need. Can you talk to me about the circumstances immediately after the birth of Phoenix and how you felt you were treated in that NHS maternity care system?
It is just reliving it, and I think it's out of so many people's hands, and I think that protocol, couldn't everyone just throw protocol out the window? I just hate the word protocol. You know, when you are spiritual and you are like a being and a feeling, you're going into these places and you're like, why are you not treating me like that? But I think
You don't even need to be spiritual.
no,
you're just a human
well,
being.
it's just love and compassion and kindness. And when everyone goes, be kind, be kind. I did not feel kindness. And I think the people that had to look after me, their jaws were on the floor and they didn't know what to do. Their hands were tied. And I think for me, reliving it, I needed that time off because I actually took time off work, which is unheard of for me, because I needed time to process what I went through. And I wouldn't wish what I went through on anyone. It was absolutely horrendous, harrowing, awful.
Not just in the actual birth of Phoenix, but the aftercare afterwards.
Actually, giving birth to Phoenix, you know, I always spoke about Tom's death and said it was really magical. There was something between me and Phoenix, and I carried him for 9 months. He was my baby. I felt him. I knew him. There was something magical with that, and it was everything. I can't even go into it. I can't even... I will literally... It is so painful for me. It's so painful to even talk about it.
Yeah. We've been talking about maternity care and birth trauma a lot here on Sky News, and it feels like 2026 is a really pivotal year for this area, and the amounts of reports, investigations that have come out that have said it is substandard. Our inbox has been full of women with very different stories, but the same overall concern. Almost all of the people who have written to us here at Sky News describe feeling ignored at some point of their childbirth experience. Ignored and not listened to. Is that how you felt?
Yes. And also having my own podcast. At Mum's the Word, I hear these stories all the time for women. And I do think so many of us are unheard or almost frightened to be heard and have a voice.
What's it like to grieve baby loss while parenting? Because you've grieved the loss of your husband, Tom, but this is slightly different territory. You expected to have Phoenix with you and your young family and your partner, Will. He's not there. How do you navigate the grief while still being a parent?
It's so hard because I think physically it's so hard. Obviously, I had Phoenix, my milk came in, but I had no baby. There was no baby there. And the children really, really wanted their little brother to be there.
How do you even start that conversation with them, Kelsey?
Well, where their understanding of death is actually beyond children of their age.
Yeah.
So they understood that Phoenix wasn't coming back, but it was the why. Why? Just the day-to-day, the rest I needed. I'd carried a baby for 9 months, but then you haven't got the baby there. So, you know, when you've had the baby, people go, oh, sit down, put your feet up.
Let me make you a cup of tea.
And you'd have the baby, be feeding the baby. I didn't have that. So that was taken from me. It was a bit like, oh, what do I need to sit around for? Because I've not got a baby to nurse. But I did carry a baby for 9 months.
When you talk about your children asking why, the truth of the matter is that when it comes to baby loss, you may never know why. How do you live with that?
That's really a really hard question, actually. From a different take, I feel like I have my answers as to why. That might not be a medical answer, but that's an answer for us. And I think for Aurelia, that's what I had to say to her, you know, Tom's, like, Daddy's got a Phoenix now. And that's what I thought. It was such a nice angle that someone put to it, and I thought that is just actually so beautiful. That Will's looking after Tom's children here, and Tom's got Will's child up there.
Well, my thanks to the incredible Kelsey Parker for sharing her story with us. As heartbreaking as it is to say this, it's a story that will feel all too familiar to the thousands of families who endure a traumatic birth experience every single year. The government and the health service say that they are committed to ending this scandal. In fact, a national maternity investigation is currently underway, And Donna Ockington, who we've spoken to a number of times on this programme, is leading a review of services at the Nottingham University Hospital's NHS Trust. At Sky News, we are building a picture of the state of NHS maternity services, and you can get involved. Add your voice. Email maternitystories@sky.uk. You can share your story with us. Hundreds of women have already done so. That's maternitystories@sky.uk. Now, a man has died after his lorry crashed into a river in the New Forest during Storm Chandra. Large areas of the country hit with heavy rain, which has caused widespread flooding, with some in Dorset told to evacuate their homes because of rising water levels. Sky's Stephen Murphy has this report now on how the storm is causing chaos on both sides of the Irish Sea.
The Chandra clean-up continues. In this pub in Enniscorthy in County Wexford, a brand new pool table. It lasted one day.
Yeah, you couldn't make it up. We only had it installed there, over €3,000 brand new. The man worked for hours putting it on, and then the next day it's over underwater.
You got one game on it, you said?
One game.
This was the pub after the sudden flood.
It's tough, as you can see. The guys are working really hard to get the place back open, not just for us, but for the community as well.
The River Slaney burst its banks in the early hours of yesterday, with the worst flooding Enniscorthy has seen in 30 years. There's a real community spirit here today. We meet Robbie, a maintenance worker pumping out a hotel lift shaft, even though his own home remains flooded.
I look after people first and then I look after myself. It's the sad stories you hear, and the children crying yesterday broke my heart. And women bringing out the babies and children and get them on dinghies. All the rescue places here in Enniscorthy are fantastic.
The lack of proper flood defences here has been a perennial source of anger in Enniscorthy.
There's talk about a flood relief scheme for the last 15 or 20 years and never happened. Now, whose fault that is, I don't know. But as I say, I feel terrible for the people came out of apartments, and people were telling me there was people actually standing on the side of the road with suitcases and that. Like, this is terrible in 2026. You know, the likes of this shouldn't be happening.
In the UK, Somerset authorities declared a major incident after intense rainfall. In the village of Newtown Poppleford, near Exeter, one resident was rescued through his bedroom window as the waters rose.
We climbed down a ladder. They took the dog first, which was a nightmare, but they took him down, took me down. I didn't have any shoes either because they were all downstairs, so they went and got me a pair of shoes to put on. So everything downstairs is ruined. All my tools in the back are completely soaked, covered in mud. It's the mud more than anything else. The water I can deal with, but it's just the silt and the slime, and everything in the kitchen cupboards is ruined.
Chandra caused havoc across the southwest, and the first fatality was confirmed. A lorry driver in his 60s whose vehicle crashed into a river in the New Forest. Back in Enniscorthy, they're not sure if the worst is over yet. As the clean-up operation continues here today, the weather has mostly been dry, even sunny at times, but that isn't fooling anybody here. There is a lot of further rainfall predicted in these parts over the next 48 hours. And as you can see, the ground is absolutely saturated. There simply is nowhere else for excess water to go. So it really wouldn't take much further rainfall here for the further risk of flooding to return. The recovery effort continues, even as the forecasts are awaited nervously each day. Stephen Murphy, Sky News in Enniscorthy.
Many areas taking each day as it comes weather-wise. We're joined now by Lee Wilkes, who manages St Austell Fire Station in West Cornwall. Lee, really good to talk to you tonight. A busy day for you and your team yesterday. Talk to me about the volume of calls and activity you were dealing with.
Yeah, thank you. As a service, we received a number of calls for people trapped either inside their houses or inside their vehicles. The service rescued a total of 12 people yesterday. The incident that we're talking about in Lostwithiel, the picture you can see now, that was a rescue of one lady inside the vehicle in the picture, and then a further rescue of 2 other people that were stuck further down in the river.
Yeah, what had happened there? And talk us through these pictures in terms of that water looks pretty deep to me, but it seems that drivers are thinking, you know, we'll just chance it.
Yeah, I mean, it looks, from our perspective, that people are unaware of the depth of floodwater that they drive through, and it doesn't take a lot for a vehicle to overcome. It'll take water into the engine and stall the engine, and that's what happened on this occasion. And obviously, it takes around about 1 foot of water to float a vehicle. So this in particular was a really lucky incident that if that vehicle had floated and been taken downstream, it could have been a different outcome.
As little as that, 1 foot of water. I mean, what would your advice be to drivers? Because, this weather is far from over. I understand you've had a bit of respite where you are, glorious sunshine today, but you're bracing yourself for more bad weather.
Yeah, absolutely. Tomorrow there's another yellow warning for the southwest, and we're looking and expecting between 10 and 15 up to as much as 25 mil of rain. And, that won't take a lot, as previous reports have mentioned, for, the floods to come back, for rivers to be overwhelmed and roads to kind of be impassable. So, our advice as a fire and rescue service is that if you are unsure of the depth, and bearing in mind the foot of water that I mentioned, it is best place that you don't try to take a vehicle through that floodwater. And it goes the same if you're a pedestrian. You don't know whether manholes have lifted, so you don't really know what you're stepping on or through.
Yeah, I mean, that is the advice, but the sad fact of the matter is that some people will not heed it. So if you do find yourself in that position, trapped in floodwater, what procedure should you follow? What should you do?
It's obviously really important to keep a fully charged mobile phone and obviously having an awareness of where you are. And if you're in the unfortunate circumstance where you find yourself trapped in floodwater, especially where it's moving fast, our advice would be to try and remain in the vehicle where it's safe to do so. I mean, trying to get out, it adds another element to an incident. But as I mentioned, having that phone and being aware of your location, calling 999 where you're unsure, and reporting your location accurately is really important for effective response for the fire and rescue service.
And give us an idea of what it takes to mount that kind of rescue operation. Let's go back to the woman that you rescued from the car yesterday. That was one of a number of people that you rescued yesterday. Your station, as you said, rescuing 6 people. Walk me through that procedure. What goes into that?
Obviously, that starts from the 999 call, and we've got our control room operators that do a great job at grading these calls and mobilising our resources. And this job in particular yesterday, that it included 2 fire rescue appliances, so up to 12 people from local stations, and then the specialist rescuers that you see in the pictures now, another 4 people there, and additional support and officers. So we are talking 20 plus at some incidents really, and that's not to discount the multi-agency response that we've seen. So there's police there in their numbers as well.
Yeah, and preparation's key for you. I know that you're busy preparing for more bad weather to come. And this lady that you rescued, you had to rescue her 3 dogs as well, which probably was a rather unexpected rescue mission for you all, but all of them safely back on dry land. Lee, to you and your colleagues, stay safe. That's Lee Wilkes, their station manager for St Austell Fire Station there in West Cornwall. As he said, there is another yellow warning for that area. So if you live in and around that area, heed advice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, misconduct proceedings against the police marksman who shot and killed a man in South London back in 2022 have been paused. The police watchdog had been investigating Martin Blake's conduct, despite the officer being cleared of murdering Chris Cabba. Our correspondent Olivia Guthrie is here and has been following the details involved in this. Why the pause, Olivia?
Well, that's an interesting question. I shall get to it. Obviously, Martin Blake is the Met marksman who shot dead Chris Cabba in London in September of 2022. Now, as you say, he was cleared of murder at the Old Bailey in 2024, but he was still facing these gross misconduct proceedings over the killing. Now, the Metropolitan Police sent a letter to the watchdog, the IOPC, back in November, asking for them to drop these proceedings, and they have welcomed today's announcement, saying the facts have already been fully tested during a criminal trial, which resulted in a jury returning a unanimous not guilty verdict. In our view, that should have brought this matter to a clear and definitive conclusion. We acknowledge the IOPC's decision to pause proceedings. However, this pause must be as short as possible, they say, say. NX121, that's Martin Blake's life, has been effectively on hold for more than 3 years, and every additional delay prolongs the stress and uncertainty that he and his family are living with. Well, today's IOPC statement comes after they said that it's not appropriate for them to make a decision about Martin Blake's case until they say that they understand the impact of amendments to the use of force standard, those changes being brought in by the government later this year. Now, Chris Cabba was a member of one of the most violent criminal gangs in London, and he was suspected of being involved in 2 shootings in the week before he died, and he was also trying to ram police cars when he was shot. Nevertheless, his family say that they are devastated by the news that his killer's disciplinary proceedings have been paused, and they say that this adds to our trauma and our sense of injustice. But the Metropolitan Police Federation, which represents the rank and file officers in the force, says that actually this pause is the right decision, adding that police officers should not face losing their liberty or livelihoods for doing the job that society expects of them.
OK, more on that story to come, no doubt. But for the moment, Olivia, thank you, Olivia Guthrie, with the details on that. Right, still to come here on the UK Tonight, why ketamine isn't being reclassified as a Class A drug, despite record use and multiple deaths linked to it. And the overhaul of the vet sector, aiming to tackle surging prices. Plus, we'll hear from 2 teenagers who saved a group of poorly prepared hikers who were stuck on one of England's highest mountains.
The best thing about being a Sky News journalist? I'm going to take you behind the scenes here for Election Night Live. They have gone up and up. Being a Sky News journalist.
Ed Conway, Sky News, is anyone going to talk to us? Mortgage rates did go up very sharply during your time in office. Here it is.
First off, just the scale of what we're looking at.
Our data shows it's been happening. Question is why it hasn't been stopped.
Ketamine will not be reclassified as a Class A drug after expert advisors told the government the change would not reduce its use. Ministers sought advice after the popularity of ketamine surged to record levels, with some users becoming seriously ill and others even dying. Sky's Shingi Marike has more.
Last year, the government asked a group of experts to review the classification of ketamine. Legally, it's used as a painkiller, but recreationally, it's a Class B drug and has been since 2013. Even short-term use can cause serious bladder and kidney problems. And with a record number of people using it and a growing number of deaths linked to it, the government asked for advice. Those recommendations have now been published in this 34-page report. It says ketamine should stay as a Class B because the experts think simply reclassifying it wouldn't stop people using it.
I never ever thought, oh my God, I'm not going to touch Class A's because of the punishment or for the status of it being Class A. Ketamine was the thing that brought me to my knees, and if it was Class A, it still would have done the same job. I still would have used it. In my experience, all I needed was the support and to find some sort of recovery through rehabilitation. I didn't need punishment. Yeah, I was struggling with an illness of addiction.
The report says police and healthcare professionals need more support to identify, prevent, and respond to the harm ketamine causes. It includes recommendations like including ketamine in roadside drug testing, improving access to treatment, and collecting more data from health settings. Joe runs a detox clinic on the Wirral where I've filmed before.
When I look at the recommendations, I can see there's a huge amount of detail that will help and support people moving forward, and I think that's the focus here. So lots of different elements, from law enforcement, from support for families, for educational purposes, and I think that's the key here, and that partnership working, multi-agency responses, and actually giving better access to support for the individuals who are using.
But there is some disappointment about ketamine not being made a Class A though. We've spoken to the parents of children who have died after using ketamine who hope that might happen. So what's next? In response to the report, the Home Office says it will consider it carefully and respond as a matter of priority.
Shingi Marike reporting there. Now, more than half of UK households are thought to own a pet, but many are left shocked, even risking financial problems over the cost of vet treatment when something goes wrong. Or now, in an overhaul aimed at making the industry more transparent, surgeries will have to publish price lists for common treatments, as well as disclosing if they are independent or part of a chain. Well, let's talk about this now. We're joined by locum vet, Dr. Callum Liddell. Callum, really good to see you. How badly does your sector need a shake-up?
To be fair, the announcement today really marks actually quite an important step in modernising veterinary regulation. The Surgeons Act goes back to 1966, and whilst the profession continues to maintain high standards, the law hasn't always reflected how animal care is delivered today. You can imagine the vet practice from the 1960s is very different to what it is these days with the advances in technology. The main thing is it's going to help better and safeguard animal welfare, and more than anything else, I think maintain a bit more public trust. It's definitely something that's needed.
Yeah, I mean, the idea is that vets need to publish a list for common treatments. That might be getting worm tablets or chipping your pet, something like that. And people could shop around, which, you know, we do with so many other areas of life. They could shop around for the best price. And that's something they can't do at the moment. Why?
It's not. It's because there is no regulatory framework in place. There is no requirement for any practices to disclose. Some practices will say their consult fee is £50, £60 ongoing, but there's nothing to really push vet practices into doing this. So this framework is actually going to help with the competition, and I think over time it is going to help lower those prices, so practices then can see what other practices charge, regardless of whether it's a locally owned independent practice or if it is a corporate.
It just stops those unexpected bills, right? If there's a bit of transparency and communication up front, because you do hear these stories of people. I mean, you know, look at these dogs and puppies now. You know, it's tugging at my heartstrings, and they're not my pet. So when it's your pet and you're in the vet surgery, you just sort of, you know, you get that cost and the emotion comes into play. Talk to me about why vets need to declare whether they are part of a larger group or whether they're independent. Why is that important?
I think at the moment, public trust has somewhat been lost, and over the last year or so, there has been a lot of, we call it vet bashing, I suppose, is the best way. And I think it's been such a long time since we've had these independent clinics, and a lot of people don't know where that money is going to. So I think, and because we're under quite increasing amounts of work pressure, I think it's going to be a good way of just with changing from it's more about the sensitive positive framing, I suppose. So we're trying to be completely transparent as a veterinary profession. So by having this, you know kind of where your money's going, I suppose.
Yeah. Over half the households in the UK have a pet. I've got one. I'm sure you have. Have you, as a vet? You must have.
I've got a couple, to say the least. Yeah, we've got we've got a little bit of a menagerie, I suppose. A lot of our animals are rescues, actually. So and that's rescues because people haven't been able to afford veterinary treatment, or so we've a bit of a zoo around here.
Oh, so yeah, so it sort of tugs on your heartings as well if people come into you as a vet and go,
it does.
I just can't afford it, so you then take them on.
No, exactly. But even when it comes to in practice, like a lot of people will come in and think that we're robots, that we're not. When an animal comes in and it's time to talk about like euthanasia and things, it does pull at our heartstrings. And there's been a fair few times where I've had a bit of a tear and a bit of a cry with owners, and that's not because we're after sympathy. It's just because we have pets, so we know exactly what they're going through, and it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and to put a pet down because you can't afford it, I mean, you know, what an awful decision to have to make.
Exactly.
There is no official complaints procedure, so if somebody feels that their pet has been mistreated at the hand of the vet or not got the proper treatment or has perhaps been ripped off when it comes to pricing, there's no official procedure, nowhere to go as you would have, you know, if you went to a hospital or a GP.
No.
Is that something that you support?
Definitely so. So at the moment, if you were to make a complaint about your individual vet practice, you'd email the practice. They'd have like a formatted response, I suppose, trying to mitigate what's kind of going on and then try to help out the client. We do then have the next step where if you have got a bigger concern, then you can regulate it up to the RCVS, who can obviously investigate the professionals as well as the clients and find out what's kind of gone on. So with this reform, it's going to make things better for everybody, both the public and veterinary professionals. So we've all got the same framework and we're all singing from the same hymn book, I think.
Yeah, better for vets, owners, and importantly,
definitely so.
Pets. And Callum, really good to talk to you, Dr. Callum
Liddell
there, locum vet, and well, it sounds like Dr. Doolittle at your place in terms of how many you've got.
Yeah.
They've stayed quiet throughout your interview, so thumbs up for that. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah, my dog would be jumping all over my lap during that interview. Right, still to come on the UK Tonight. Free AI training available for everyone in the country. But will it be enough to save your job? everyone in the country is being offered free artificial intelligence training. This is as the government tries to prepare workers for rapid technological change. It comes amid growing fears that huge swathes of the workforce face being replaced by AI in the coming years. Our education reporter Anjan Pirbakos has been taking a look at whether the new course can stop people being left behind.
Free AI training, open to all. From today, anyone in the UK can access short, practical courses designed to help people use artificial intelligence at work. From drafting text to automating everyday admin. The training is available on the government's upgraded AI Skills Hub, with some courses taking less than 20 minutes to complete.
Being able to do a program like that just really fast-tracked me to learning and building skills in AI and then applying it to the business.
The programme is a joint effort between government and major tech firms like Google, Microsoft and IBM, and has already delivered more than 1 million courses since last summer. Research shows just 21% of workers feel confident using AI, and only 1 in 6 businesses currently use it.
Prior to learning all the different tools, I was very much maybe a little bit sceptical, a little bit using it as a search engine. But now I've found ways to really optimise and integrate AI into my daily workflow. So things like invoicing, contracts, creating policies.
Ministers say better skills could unblock up to £140 billion a year in economic growth.
We want to make sure people have got the skills they need to get the opportunities of the future. And we're working really closely with companies, with the NHS, local government, to make sure people throughout all walks of life have got those skills.
Those completing the courses will receive a government-backed AI Foundation badge, giving employers confidence their staff have basic AI skills. But concerns persist about the pitfalls of humans being replaced by technology. The challenge now is to persuade businesses and workers to take up the training. Anjan Pirbakos, Sky News.
This in a bit more detail, shall we? Erin Ling, Senior Lecturer in Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Work at the University of Surrey. Erin, good of you to join us this evening to talk about this. So do you think this is good news? From what I gathered there, courses are around 20 minutes long, so it's a bit of an introduction to AI for those who are not familiar with it.
Well, yes, definitely. I really think this is very important and necessary step for the government. Because AI is no longer a future technology, it's really embedded in everyday work now. And so when the technology moves really fast, the biggest risk is not the technology itself, but the unequal access to skills. So now if only some people know how to use AI effectively, and productivity and opportunity with gaps will widen. So this training is really go beyond technical tutors. And I've just checked today for all these different type of courses, ranging from the different sectors and to the skills. It's very important for people, regardless of age and the sector, to provide the access and free access to everyone who can really learn and keep the pace of their AI technology.
Yeah, it's going to be available to everyone. Is it a case of adapt to survive? Because the narrative can often be your job is going to be replaced by AI. But should the message be changed in terms of you need to adopt AI and not be resistant to it, take it with you, use it, because those that understand it and use it properly, they're the ones that will keep their jobs?
Yes, definitely. I mean, 2 years ago, actually, I had the same discussion on the same topic. So I think the question should be shifted from will AI really take over my jobs to how fast my job will change and whether my jobs will change faster than I can adapt to it. So we should not be panicked, but we also should be prepared, how I can be more adaptive to and be open to learning new skills to help me to survive and to keep me competitive no matter how the technology evolves. So we shouldn't be really resistant to, no matter from individual or businesses, from the individual to organizational level, the more we are open to, we'll be more ready for how we can be more competitive.
Yeah, AI can perhaps make you better at your job, not, force you out of it. What will be the sectors that take on AI the quickest? So law, health, teaching, where do you see AI advancing the quickest in certain job sectors?
Right. So to me, I think there's certain jobs in this kind of roles that require administrative work and might be automated faster. And those roles actually require more physical work, like electricians, construction workers still be less exposed. I mean, if something goes wrong, no matter in service sector or other sectors, like we don't want everything. We need a real person to fix the problem, right? No matter whether we have family people get sick or if we're on holiday, something goes wrong, we definitely need some real person to actually help us to solve the problem, not really just rely on a chatbot or algorithm that we can gain information from. So to me, I think these industries with heavy physical work and also something is hands or needs a heart in a service sector, those would be really safe to point to say safer at this point. And but these jobs or let's say tasks that needs more administrative work could be a little bit more dangerous than before.
Erin, really good to talk to you tonight. Thank you so much. Erin Ling, Senior Lecturer in Artificial Intelligence and the Future of Work at the University of Surrey. They're talking about the government's introduction of AI courses for everyone to get up to speed. So to come here on the UK Tonight, we speak to the two teenage boys who saved a group of hikers who were stuck in icy conditions on one of England's highest mountains. And news of yet another comeback for former heavyweight champion of the world, Tyson Fury. All the details coming.
First Minister, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Very
nice to see you. How are you feeling?
Looking forward to getting into the parliamentary chamber.
Are you any further forward to making a decision?
No, it's an important day today.
All of the claims were in line with my parliamentary duties, so I'm making that clear to you, Conor.
He was a Scot through and through.
He was a very good politician.
Alex Salmond was controversial, he was a disruptor, but above all, he was respected.
Will you resign if you lose this week?
Again, I'm not planning to, of course, lose the vote of no confidence. I'm planning to win that vote of no confidence.
His face said it all.
My intention to stand down as party leader.
This is now a storm with deadly consequences. How are they feeling?
They're a bit scared at the minute.
We've been told to evacuate.
How are you feeling?
Devastated.
Hundreds of homes were wiped out by flooding. I'm Conor Gillis, Sky's Scotland correspondent.
It was probably the darkest time in my life.
Scott is 5 years sober after a cocaine addiction left him close to death. Scotland has a shameful record, worse than England, the worst in Europe.
So why not just say you failed? Because then you might get more respect from families who've lost loved ones.
This is where one of the UK's most prolific rapists thought he'd got away with murder.
Sky News can reveal that former sex workers had told police he was sexually violent.
My Emma.
Free wherever you get your news. It's over, isn't it? The Americans say he is Rossi, a fraudster.
This has been one of the most bizarre cases ever heard in a courtroom in this country.
A dangerous murderer.
Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive Andrew Ennis after this?
She said she can forgive him, but as long as he's behind bars.
By doing the right thing, it's destroyed your life.
They terrorised me. They intimidated me.
I'm so grateful.
Sky News, the full story first.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story. I'm ready. Are you? Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Coming up, we hear from the teens who rescued a group of adults in jeans and trainers in icy conditions on one of England's highest mountains. But first, Jess is here with the sport, and Tyson Fury is back again. How many times have we said that?
2, 3, 4, plus the 1, carry the 3. I'm running out of, honestly, I'm running out of fingers out of how many times this man has come out of retirement.
Yeah.
He's been coming in
We've
and
always
out of
got a picture of him standing by, put it that way.
You have to. He's never far from the headlines. He's been coming in and out of retirement now since 2022, 4 years. But look, this one is significant. This latest spell of retirement has lasted a year. He said he was stepping away from the sport back in January 2025. But he is one of the best British boxers we've ever seen, and he's not fought since December 2024. So it's been a long time out the ring, and he hasn't fought in the UK since 2022. So this is really significant. And the match, the bout that is coming up that he has announced in the last couple of hours will be in April.
In April, so really soon.
Yes.
So he's obviously been training behind the scenes, away from prying eyes. And, you know, he's back. He's one of not just boxing, but sport's biggest characters. So, you know, all eyes will be on him. Who's he fighting? It's in April. Where is it? It's in the UK?
It's in the UK, at a venue still to be decided. Who is he fighting? I think this is where a little bit of disappointment comes in from British boxing fans, because they wanted someone for Tyson Fury who is high-profile himself. They wanted a high-profile opponent, and perhaps they haven't got that. It's a Russian boxer. His name is Arslanbek Makhmudov. Now, look, he doesn't sound as high quality or as high-profile as some of the people that Tyson Fury has fought, but let's not be fooled. Makhmudov is very experienced. He's won 21.
I was going to say, if you're going to fight Tyson Fury, you've got to back yourself, right?
He's won 21 of his 23 bouts. And the added significance of this, SJ, is because if Tyson Fury can get past this opponent, it may lead to another world title fight, possibly with Fabio Wardley, which gives us the prospect of Tyson Fury becoming a 3-time world champion. What an exciting time for boxing fans.
Yeah, he can see the headlines, and so can we.
Yes, so an exciting time in boxing, exciting night in the football tonight as well for all the English teams in the Champions League. I'll take you through it in just a moment.
Sheffield United! Very good! Get in there, beauty! How are they, lads?
As a youngster, Alan Shearer had one ambition: to play in the black and white stripes of Newcastle United. News of his signing was confirmed by Kevin Keegan on Newcastle's current tour of Thailand.
We have signed Alan Shearer. It's a world record fee that we've paid, and we're delighted.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Most important point is a Geordie. We want to save the press conference until we go back home to Newcastle, because the signing is for the people of Newcastle.
I've got no comment to make at this stage. I'll make it later on.
You must be pleased,
thank you. Delighted. Thank you.
It was just time to come back home, because I'd left 10 years earlier to go down to Southampton as a 15-year-old. It wasn't as if Newcastle were struggling. They were a club that had just thrown away that 12-point lead in the race for the title. I just had to come back home. It was my dream to play for Newcastle and score goals at the Gallagher end, and I wanted my best years ahead of me.
His hometown club have been doing brisk business in copies of the shirt Shearer will wear.
525 for his name, but we don't know if he's number 9 yet or not, but that's the number people are getting. It would be like 725 for his name and number.
Every Geordie, like a homing pigeon, wants to come home. Alan's come home, and I think it's great for the club. And it'd say to the kids in the area, we're going to give you a chance.
He's coming home! He's coming home! He's coming home! Shearer's coming home!
Newcastle United, that little team in the northeast of England, you know? We're breaking records. We're giving people hope again. The football team has such an effect on our lives.
To the Lake District now, where a poorly prepared group of adults had to be rescued by 2 teenage boys after getting into difficulty on England's 3rd highest mountain. Caelan Blades and Rowan Kay were on Helvellyn when this happened.
Going down Helvellyn. We're going to have to escort all these people now. Look, wait. We've got a dog, no boots, no crampons, no ice axe, so Now we're making a path and leading them down because they can't carry on Striding Edge.
Yeah, quite rightly shaking his head. That was Caelan doing the filming there. Here they are, the heroes of the day, Caelan Blades top and Rowan Kay at the bottom, joining us here on Sky News. Well, first of all, well done, lads, because that is quite the feat, getting a group of grown adults and a small dog down off England's third highest peak. Caelan, talk me through what was happening there. What were you guys doing up there in the first place?
So initially we went up to do gully number 2, which is on the face of Helvellyn, next to just in front of Red Tarn. And we went up and did it. It was amazing. And we topped out. We had a little rest. We met my dad at the top. And then we started descending back down Striding Edge. And then obviously the end of Striding Edge is called the head wall. And it's quite like a big section of like steep rock like this, up, leading you to the top. So we started descending down there, and the further we got down, is just the more we kept hearing about these unprepared people. That's what we was hearing. So we just kept heading down. Eventually, now we see him, and then this guy approaches us. I think he was called Pat. He starts telling us about how this lady's basically froze on a bad step, and she's really, really struggling to get down. And he had to like help her move by move, and it was a really big deal and stuff. So after that, I look up and a helicopter just flies straight over my head. So I'm like, somebody already called them. And then turns out it was for somebody else on the Swivel Edge on the other side of Helvellyn. And then I took one good look at all these lot again, and I knew we can't let what's happened happen again. So I wanted the person who needed help to get the most resources they could, so me and Rowan could get these lot down the quickest. So without having to get mountain rescue involved. But we do know mountain rescue can come at any time if needed. And then Rowan got to the top of them, I got to the bottom of them. We took them down to like a little flat bit before we actually initially took them down. And we was asking them, do you need any water? Are you cold? Are you hungry? Are you tired? Extra clothing? We offered them anything we could give. They didn't really respond to us. So that's when we just started telling them to move, basically. I got to the front of the group. Rowan, I had the lady who had the panic attack quite close to me. Rowan was like 2 people behind me, and then Simon and Miles, who were 2 other lads that helped us, thank you, they was at the back. So everyone's together now, and we're all in a line. And then, so what we did, I was at the front with the lady next to me. I gave her my spare ice axe. Then Rowan gave another guy his spare ice axe. And then we started doing zigzags, like as you see, very shallow zigzags along the side of the gully, along the side of Helvellyn. I was basically just digging my feet in as hard as I could, so they could get the trainers in and get rid of as much snow, so they won't be slipping, as you can see.
Yeah, well, how lucky were those hikers that you boys were there? Rowan, I'm going to bring you in at this point, because what condition did you find them in? Because I'm looking at you boys in that video. You've got your helmets, your crampons, your backpacks. What kind of kit should you have for a hike like that, and what did they actually have?
Well, for wintry conditions just like them, I would recommend any sort of mountaineering boot. There's rated B1, B2, B3. They all fit crampons, so you need a pair of them if you're going to use crampons. Sorry. What was I saying?
Crampons, jacket, supplies, but what did they actually have? From what I understand, they were just in shorts and t-shirts, not shorts and t-shirts. I mean, it might as well have been, but jeans and t-shirts.
Well, they should have had waterproof clothing, really, not what they were wearing, like jeans, trackies, stuff like that. It's just not suitable for that sort of weather. They can get wet, and then they'll stay wet until you get back down or something.
And you guys realise the seriousness of this, right? Because you do this regularly, and as I said, you've got all the gear and you've got a really good idea of just how quickly conditions can change.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what happened to them.
Well, we saw the woman was panicking, and we decided to help them, of course. Sorry, I've lost my words completely.
That's all right. Just tell me how this ended, because obviously Caelan's talked us through the zigzagging slowly down, offering them supplies and things to keep them warm, which they didn't have. How did this end?
Well, we got them down. They thanked us a lot. They were shaking our hands, stuff like that. We ended up walking with them for a bit more, talking to them, and they ended up just walking ahead of us and heading back down to Glenmidden, which is where they were parked at, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well, look, it's an incredible rescue, and, you know, you are just both 15 and 16, and I know that you do this regularly, these climbs, and you've got experience, but that is quite something to sort of take a group of adults and a dog and get them down that mountain safely. So well done. I know they thanked you, but that is quite an incredible feat. Thank you for coming on to Sky News to tell us about it. You should feel very proud of yourselves. That's Caelan and Rowan there. Thank you. I mean, what a couple of impressive lads they are. Right, let's take a look at the weather, shall we?